Okay, the video finished. Oh, we're live. Seder. So we're learning Hashamayim Kisi, Tashin Lamed Vav, and say from Amonim Gimel. We are holding Ace Vav. Just for a drop of context, we learned in the Maimer that there are three levels of Aveda. There's the Aveda of Anius, of Kabbalah Soil, which is Lamata Mitam Vedas. Then there's the Aveda of Naran Chai. And then there's the Aveda of Emuna, which is Anias, which is Lamaila Mitam Vadas. And that's the Bittul B'Metzias. And he says that they correspond to the three stages in the fruits of a tree. The first stage is, for the first 3 years, the fruits of a tree are Arla. The second stage, in the fourth year, it may be eaten, but only with holiness in Yerushalayim. It's brought to the Eibishter. And the third stage is the fifth year and onwards, when it may be eaten anywhere. And he explained that this is the Aveda of Netias Ilun Ba'aretz, is the Inyan of drawing down Malchus Zah into Malchus in three different stages and three different levels. Now he's going to explain those things in the service of a year to the Eibishter, and Aveda Ha'adam to the Eibishter. So we're going to start Eisvav. To explain these three levels of drawing down Malchus, and of which correspond to the development of the tree, the three stages in the development of the tree, how it works out in the Aveda of a Yid to the Eibishter. Yishleimar, the Inin HaMalchus, what's the Inin of Malchus in the makeup of the person's Geboy is, who came at mitzvahs b'peil mamish. Malchus is the idea of fulfilling Torah and mitzvahs b'peil mamish. Okay? The machshava dibur u'maisa. And then it's Eisvav, it's not there. Why is it? What brings a yid to fulfilling Torah and mitzvahs b'peil mamish? Well, they hamshachas v'gili hamidus v'hamachshava dibur u'maisa. It's through drawing down the zah, the midis, into the machshava dibur u'maisa. So Malchus is peil mamish, whether in thought, thinking divrei Torah, or in speech, davening or speaking divrei Torah, or commanding people to give tzedakah on his behalf, or in maisa, the actual giving of tzedakah and other mitzvahs maisias. So they are performed when the yid brings his midis into Malchus, draws some shachas midis into Malchus. And he says that there are different stages in this. There are different levels. Just like in Hamshacha Zah into Malchus, and in the development of the tree, you have three different stages. So too, the Yid, being Mamshech, his Midas, into his Maisa B'Peil, has in it three different stages. And we're going to start from the lower level to the higher levels. When the person draws down only his Midas of Netzach Heid Yisayid, the midis Elohim not been negeh lepeil, which these midis of Netzach Heid Yisayid are only been negeh to the peil. Last week we learned that the midis can be divided into two categories. The first three midis, which are the pnimius midis, the chesed gvura teferes, which is ava, yira, and rachamim. That's where an actual passion, an actual emotion of feeling is felt. And then you have the second half of the midis, the second category of midis is Netzach Heid Yisayid. Netzach Heid Yisayid is not about the actual midah. It's a question of how do I act on the midah? How do I bring this love, this fear, or this midah of Tiferes, how do I bring it into a peil mamish? So you have like this, a yid is mekayim Torah mitzvahs. Without midas, a person doesn't do anything. Okay, this is pashut to say there. Why does a person do something? Why does a person go and buy something? A person goes to the store and buys something, buy something to eat. Why did he buy something? Because he felt a need for it. There's a midah over here. Good. You want to talk about art? A person goes and buys art.
Oh, so people shop when they're like stressed or
So let's talk about jewelry. Jewelry. So some people hearing about shopping for jewelry start stressing them. Where am I going to find the money? And some people hearing about jewelry is, it's a great opportunity to get something beautiful. Wherever you may be. Why does somebody go and buy a piece of jewelry? Because he has a feeling. He wants to give a gift to somebody. Okay? Now, I stayed away when I started with this muscle because this sounds like for special things you need to have a feeling in your heart. But it's not true for anything you do. A person doesn't do anything, he doesn't move a finger without any reason. And the reason is a certain feeling that he has inside of him that's pushing him and telling him, go do this, go do that. Okay? So to have malchus, to have the maisa apel, to have the machshav dibur maisa, you have to bring the midas into the action so that the action should be done. Now he says there's a few different levels in this. The first and lowest level is when which part of the midas is brought into the action, only that part of the midas which has to do with poel mamish, which is netzach yisod. In other words, like we're going to see in a moment, he learns Torah, he davens, and he does mitzvahs without any feeling whatsoever. He does it. There's amshachas hamidus into the malchus, into the machshava dibur hamaisa, so he does it. But he does it without a chayas, without any life in it. Because there's no feeling towards the Eibishter to be drawn down into it. So that's the lowest level of fulfilling mitzvahs. So he says like this in the option, that's Achayid Yisod him shekayim v'raglaim shemelichim meisil amakam aroi. Even though the mitzvahs of Netzachayid Yisod perform a great service, they are the thighs and the feet that bring the person to the proper place. In other words, laleches b'derech havaya, they bring him to go in the ways of the Eibishter by performing Torah and learning mitzvahs. By performing mitzvahs and learning Torah. Mikol nevertheless, kiven she'en lechayis b'kiyum Torah mitzvahs, which part of his midas did he bring into his Torah and mitzvahs? The Netzachayid Yisod. Netzachayid Yisod have no chayis in them. They're just going to get to the poel mamish. The hachayis b'Torah mitzvahs while they ava v'yira davka. Chayis, a life in Torah mitzvahs, comes when a person's heart is filled with a love to the Eibishter and a fear from the Eibishter. But when that's lacking, and all that there is the poel mamish, that the yid has a hidden ava and yira, and this hidden ava and yira bring about Netzachayid Yisod to say, you know what, I'm going to do what the Eibishter wants me to do. So there's no chayas, because the ava and yira are hidden. L'chein efshar. So what happens when a person is at this level where he has no chayas in his Yiddishkeit? So efshar, it's possible it's possible that as time goes on, he has no beauty, he has no interest, he has no it's inspiration in his Torah and mitzvah, so therefore he could be weakened in his service of the Eibishter. Ubefrat, he may find it especially difficult to keep up his standards when it comes to Kadesh Antzum Muterloch, in things that are not clearly asur, but things that are outside of the service of the Eibishter. They're not, they have nothing to do with serving the Eibishter, they're glatus taivus. And in these things, the person could find that he falls through. He becomes weakened and is available to the Eibishter. The ad, and then he could devolve even lower, after being arangeton in the taivas hamutarim, he could come later to chas v'shalom also falling into taivas hasurim, including also things that are asur b'ana. I'm not sure what the hisaf is. It says in order 45 it discusses it, but let's go weiter. Therefore, such a person has to serve the Eibishter in an eifin of iskafia. He constantly finds himself that he has to hold himself back from the things that interest him. He likes a good piece of cake, a good steak, a nice show. He likes all of these things. And he has to iskafia, constantly denying himself and telling himself, no, I'm not going to do it. Because the Eibishter doesn't want me to. Okay? So that's how life looks when somebody is serving the Eibishter with only the midas of Netzachayid Yisod. The only midas that are active in his machshava dibur hamaisa are the lower midas, where when it comes to poel mamish, to what I'm actually going to do or not going to do, I'm going to listen to what the Eibishter said. Inside Netzachayid Yisod, I'm going to listen to what the Eibishter said. But a chayas, there's no chayas in the service of the Eibishter, and therefore he's constantly fighting with himself, and he has to do skafia to not fall chas v'shalom into places where he shouldn't be. This corresponds to the idea that we discussed earlier in the Maimer, the level of emunah which is below understanding. What's emunah in one word? Emunah shalamata mehadas is when a person has faith because he knows nothing, because he didn't study, because he can't understand, because he's a simpleton and never developed his brain. So therefore, he has to take everything. If you tell me, okay, I don't know, you say so, I'll take it. That's not exactly what emunah is supposed to be. That's emunah l'mata me'adas. He believes because because he's lazy. Shagam Emunah Zu, however, still this Emunah, like we learned earlier in the Maimer, he be'atzmus. Who does he believe in? He believes in Atzmus. He believes in the Eibishter himself. So this Emunah is connected to Atzmus. Maybe it's had Madregas where he's at a very low level. Yeah, because he knows nothing. But still, who does he accept to be absolutely true and have faith in? Atzmus, the Eibishter himself. Elashem is the Gili Atzmus, but the fact that his Emunah is an Atzmus, that's not felt. There's no revelation of Atzmus over here. He doesn't feel the greatness of the Eibishter, the greatness of Atzmus in his Emunah. He just does it in an of Kabbalah. So I have faith in the Eibishter. The Eibishter said, do this, I'm going to do this. The Eibishter says it's going to be good, it's going to be good. He doesn't feel the greatness of Atzmus at all. And this is similar to what Alter Rebbe explains in the first 3 years of our Lord, the Zeh, Sheshevet Haba, Seyim Lamtin Gimel Shani. This, that the person breaks his tithe, he has an orchard full of trees with delicious fruit growing from it. However, he doesn't touch them, he doesn't eat them, and he thereby breaking his tithe, and he waits 3 years to fulfill what the pasuk says, that it's our law and you're not allowed to eat it. So that's like the idea that it says that we admit. I'm not sure, it's a little hard for me to touch moedim. That we're moeda, I wonder what the English said it touches moedim. We're moeda, we thank you, but the thanking is a type of thanking where the person,
Admit.
yeah, but it also has to have a component of thanking. It's a thankfulness, but a thankfulness that's accepted without any understanding. No, it's nicht das. No, Kshani modeh lemishu. In Hebrew, it has two meanings. The word modeh has two meanings. One of them is Melashon saying thank you, and the other one is saying, I admit you're right, I'm wrong, you're right. So when you say moedim, you mean to say that we're thanking the Eibishter, but why are we thanking the Eibishter?
Grateful or acknowledgement.
We gratefully acknowledge. Okay, we gratefully acknowledge the Eibishter. But it's in of Haidah where the person doesn't understand anything.
Because we're acknowledging the Eibishter,
That he's correct and that he's good and he does everything, but it's
that
just
everything.
But it's just an ifin of it's I'm doing it because I accept it as true, not because I see it, not because I feel it. Okay, so the Alter Rebbe points out that in this withholding from eating arla for the first 3 years, which is the idea of moedim anachnu loch, so there's two parts over here. Shahahida, to who am I being moedah? Hilach. Loch is lemuhusiv atzmusay isparach. I'm saying thank you and I'm grateful to the essence of the Eibishter, to Atzmus itself. But it's not in a way of giving praise. The Hillel who gilu. When can you praise somebody? Dafka, when you understand him. If there's somebody, let's take somebody who mamish doesn't understand the greatness of the Eibishter. To him, everything is a given. The fact that there's a world is not wondrous. The fact that he has food is not wondrous. The fact that he was born is not wondrous. He's so simple. He's so, you really have to say, dumb, that he doesn't understand that there's something special even happened over here. And he doesn't see anything of it. So could this person praise the Eibishter? What should he praise the Eibishter for? You praise somebody when you appreciate his greatness, when you see it and you get it. We'll use a muscle of a very simple person and a very great chacham, right? So if there's a person who his Rav tells him, that the person who's coming to town for Shabbos, you should know, is a chad bedara, is a unique Talmud Chacham. There's nobody like him, and a tzaddik, there's nobody like him in the entire generation. And this yid is a simple yid. He knows that his Rav knows what's right and what's wrong. His Rav told him that this person is a Talmud Chacham like the world hasn't seen for generations, and a tzaddik. So when he comes to town, the person honors him and respects him. But does he praise him? Is it shaykh for him to praise? The person doesn't know how to read Aleph Beis. He never learned a piece of Gemara in his life. He doesn't understand what it means to be able to understand Gemara and Rashi Tosfos, answer a Ravid's question on the Rambam and find what the Rosh was hinting to and why Rashi said Kalemar. He knows nothing of this. He's garnished. How's he going to praise it? With what is he going to praise the Talmud Chacham? He's moida to the Talmud Chacham. He says, the Rav told me that you are a special tzaddik and a special Talmud Chacham. So I'm going to be moida to you. I'm going to acknowledge that you are great. But he can't praise him. Who could praise him? The Rav could praise him. The Rav, who has an appreciation for Limud Torah, he understands how deep it is and how difficult it is, and the greatness of its wisdom. He sees this Talmud Chacham and he hears his drasha on Shabbos, and he hears the Chidush Torah and how new gates of Chachma opened up in front of his eyes. So he'll praise him. So that's the name of Hillel. Praise you can only give if you understand the thing that you're praising. So the Ish Pashut can't. And so to a person whose entire Aveda is Emunah Lemata Mitam Vadas. He doesn't understand the greatness of the Eibishter whatsoever. So his whole Haidah is just a Haidah. His whole Emunah is just something, it's an idea of acknowledging it. Huh?
Expression you connect it. You connect it.
And we're going to get to what you're
So his
saying.
point is that you cannot praise something that you don't understand. That's it.
But you could be moida. But you can acknowledge that something that you don't understand is great and deserves to be acknowledged, and you should be grateful to it. So he says those are the two things that you have. But the second part of it is, though, that both the Rav and the simple Yid, who are they praising or who are they acknowledging? The same thing, the Talmud Chacham. So the Rebbe points out that, and Alter Rebbe in Likutei Torah, that even the lower level of Emunah, the lower level of Haidah, is still Moedi Manachnu Loch. It's still a Muhusev Atzmus Yisbarach. Okay, but the greatness, the Atzmus, is not the Gili. He doesn't feel the Gili in it, even though it's still Loch. So to have Hillel who Gilu, you can move look at the Hillel Lashon Ha'arak Kamay Dalu Neidai. That his Hillel is from the lashon of something that's shining, that's revealed, like his lamp shone on me. There's lashon apasuk virakba ifin shleidah. And this person in the first 3 years of Arla, or when he's mamshich, only the first 3 minutes of Netzach Yisaid, everything by him is behelam, and he only has to acknowledge that this is true and this is something that's worthy of being moida to. Okay, so that's the beginning of the Aveda, and then Vali Dezeh, however. Through this, when Yid starts his Aveda this way, after serving the Eibishter with his skafia and making sure not to be Eiver on Avedas and doing mitzvahs and learning Torah as much as he can, in a even of his skafia, in a even of Haidah where he doesn't get the greatness of it, in a even of Emunah that's Lamata Mitam Vadas, but he keeps at it and he works on it. So then he goes to a higher level, and this is the level of the 4th year in Beneged to the tree, the development of the tree, and like we mentioned last week, that now he's mamshich into Malchus, also the middle of Tiferes to Ba'avedas Ha'adam. What does that mean? Which corresponds to Malchus, also from the essence of the Midas, which these are Ava V'Yira, V'chein Simchas Leva B'Tiferes Havai V'Adar Geinu Shabal L'Denis L'Istakala. Now the person already goes up to the next level where he has to do already with Atzmius Hamidus. Atzmius Hamidus is already Ava, the Yira, and Tiferes, happiness, joy in the Eibishter, Mitzat, his greatness, which all of these Midas come from what? Come from a Yid who's already doing in a higher type of Avedali, Stakala B'Yakara de Malka. He's misbeinen, and he thinks into and he sees the greatness of the king. So he understands the greatness of the Eibishter. So now he already starts feeling Ava to this great Eibishter, and so to a Yira from this great Eibishter. And then when he thinks about the love that the Eibishter showed him, he has a joy, he has a Tiferes, he has a happiness in serving the Eibishter. And that's represented by the 4th year when you're mamshich already from Atzmius Hamidus. When a Yid is holding at this level, he doesn't have to push away the bad. Why? When he has a love to the Eibishter, we're not going to get into all the riches that the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya. But if a person loves the Eibishter, then he hates anything that's contrary to the Eibishter. When you love somebody, you'll hate anything that hurts that person. Anything that angers or upsets that person will be hated by you. So when a person loves the Eibishter, so he doesn't have to do iskafia. It's not shaykh to say iskafia. He has no interest in the ra in the first place that he should have to do iskafia. He's naturally not drawn to it. Then it's lit chesed. He doesn't have to push it away. So in Vospa state zayin aveda, what's he doing the whole day? Elu lahamshich teisves eir. Rather, his aveda consists of drawing down higher levels of eir, of light, of kedusha into this world. The Rebbe doesn't say every day he's talking about a tzaddik. From the Pashtas Hemshech of the Maimer, it sounds like the Rebbe is talking about that this applies also to the Aveda of every single Yid. Even though with the Alter Rebbe is Mitzayin to in Perek Yud, he's talking about the Aveda of a tzaddik. Mu'as Beraz, the Aveda of a tzaddik. Lahamshech Teisves Eir is the Aveda of a tzaddik. But in this Maimer, and especially from the whole Hemshech, and from what we'll see later in the Maimer, it's mashma that the Rebbe is saying that every single Yid has this inyan in his Aveda. There's a certain area in which this Ra he doesn't have to push away. This Ra is muas by him. Why? Because it's against the Eibishter. It's eating treif by most Yidden. The Eibishter knows how to give challenges. But by most Yidden, let's say eating treif is something that's muas by it. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to eat it. Okay, if somebody was exposed a lot to treif food, so then he might not. But by the average Yid.
The reason is because kashrus is readily available to us. This is
Yeah,
the
no,
point. And because of Chas v'Chalila, if it wasn't available to us,
It's a big
it would be a way bigger Yisrael.
and it's for the people who grew up not from and became from later in life. Every day when they stick to kosher is standing by and is saying, I don't know about that, but everybody will speak for themselves. But sure, but by the majority of people, it's not that. Let's use something simpler. To hit a light switch on Shabbos. You don't have to have a skafia to do it. Yeah, if somebody's reaching for a light switch on Shabbos, and he realizes in the last second he jumps back. Yeah, jumps back from it. So in everything, there's this a year in different areas. Every single person, according to where he's holding, will have areas in his life where he's like the tzaddik. Where this Ra, to be Mechal Shabbos, that's not something that he has to push away. It's something that's muas by him. It's miastic to him to be Mechal Shabbos, to be like a goy on Shabbos. And instead, what's his Aveda in that area? His Aveda is to be Mamshech, a Taisvis Eir, to be Mamshech more Eir. And this is what the Pasuk says on the 4th year. All of the fruits of the tree will be holy and will be praise giving to the Eibishter. The Inyan HaHilul Hukumavor. Look at the Torah. What's the Inyan of Hilul? It says look at the Torah. The Pirsha calls of Atakadosh Yeshiv Tilis Yisrael, that you, the Eibishter, are holy, and you sit, you dwell in the praise, within the praise of the Yidden. And the way the Alter Rebbe explains it is Shahuis Baruch Mitzad Atzmai Hu Kadosh Umuvdal. Kadosh is Melashon of separation. That the Eibishter Mitzad Atzmai is separate from this world. What does the Eibishter have to do? He's far removed from this world. He's Halik, and the world is Chayil. However, validate Tehilis Yisrael, through the praise that the Yidden in this world give to the Eibishter, who Yeshiv, he dwells, he sits, Nimshach, and is drawn down Lamata into this world. So that's the Aveda of the 4th year, to be Mamshech, a Teisvis Eir, to take those levels of Kedusha that by the Bria Sa'elam remained separate from this world, and to be Mamshech them into this world. This is again a reference to the Inyanim we learned earlier in the Maimer. This Aveda is the Aveda that comes with Tzad Naran, Hashamayim Kisi, and even beyond Naran, the higher levels of Chayi Yichida, which through the Aveda of Naran and Chayi Yichida were Mamshech side the Madegas Pnimim and side the Madegas of Makifim Shalomayla. Okay. Ella, again, this is all very related to what we learned earlier in the Maimer, so we're not going to go into all the details. However, this Hamshach, what is it? Mamshech, it's Mamshech, the Giluyim Shalomayla, the levels of Kedusha Shalomayla. Like the Alter Rebbe says in Kutatera, that Moedim is Loch Shahaidah, he Lochem Husay Vatz Musay. However, v'hahilul hirak l'shmeis v'arech l'shem tifatecha. Giving praise to the Eibster, the Aveda of Chaya Yechida, of Naran and Chaya Yechida, is only to the Shemus, to the levels of Kedusha, which these are not Atzmus. These are already Ha'aris that came outside of Atzmus, that came from Atzmus to a different place. Okay, so we have like this. We have the lower level of Aveda, where the Yid is in the matzav of Emunah, Aniyas Shalomata Mitam V'das, and he's doing his Aveda only mitzad Iskafia and Kabbalah's oil, without any Chayas. Okay, those are all on the negative side. What's not good about that Aveda? However, on the plus side, he has a mile in his Aveda. What's the mile in his Aveda? That his Moedim, his Loch, his Amunah is Ta'atzmus. So he's connected to that Ta'atzmus. Then you have a higher level of Aveda, where a Yid is Mamshich, and he appreciates and understands the greatness of the Eibishter. It's that he develops Av of a Yid, felt in his heart, the love and a fear of the Eibishter and the joy in the Eibishter, and he serves the Eibishter with this. So over here, what's his Aveda? His Aveda is a glorious Aveda. It's a beautiful Aveda. You see a Yid and you see he's full of life and serving the Eibishter, and that's the Maila. However, the Chesaron is that this is only connected to the Giluyim Shalamayla, to the Ha'aris. It's not connected to the essence of the Eibishter. It's Mahalun L'Shem Tifartecha, to the Madregas of Oir Shalamayla. But it's not Loch, it's not Ta'atzmas, it's not connected to Ta'atzmas. That's the Chesaron in that Aveda. Then you have the higher Aveda, which this is already Emunah Shalamayla Mitam V'das. When a Yid finishes his Aveda and does his Aveda of Naram Chai, of the Shana Haravi, so then he comes to the higher level, to the fifth year, Lahesif Lachem Tuasi, which over here there's already something entirely new, where we already have a Sof in the Aveda. Over here we already have more light, added light, which this is drawn down from the level of Keser. It's already connected to Atzmus. In the Aveda of a person, this is the Amunah which is higher than Das. Why does he have Amunah in the Eibishter? Not because I didn't learn, not because I don't understand, not because I don't have a good head. Adrabah, the person learned a ton. He has a good head. He learned. He studied for decades, and he reached to the highest levels of understanding. After reaching the highest levels of understanding, what does he realize? That he still doesn't understand the Eibishter. As much as somebody will understand, nobody can understand the Eibishter. And that's already an Amunah that's L'mayla Mitam V'das. It's not an uneducated Amunah. It's a very educated Amunah. Having reached the pinnacle of Seichel, he realizes that Seichel can never grasp the Eibishter. When the Yid serves the Eibishter with this Amunah, you have both milas, both advantages. That first of all, he has a bittul and an Amunah to the Eibishter, which this is already an Atzmus. And it's not only that, it's a bittul b'metzias. However, unlike in the level of Amunah Shlamata Mitamadas and the Kabbalah Soul, because I don't understand anything, in this Amunah, that the Yid understands the greatness and the glory and the beauty of the Eibishter, over here he already feels the hafla of Atzmus. He feels that Atzmus is beyond anything and greater than anything he can ever understand and anything that has to do with this world. And over here you already have an Aveda with Chayas. That any praise that you can give to the Eibishter that only reaches Giluim, the Eibishter is beyond all that. Only a faith and an acknowledgement, and that's what this person has as an Aveda, in his Aveda. So now he has both milas. Sai, that it's to Atzmus, the Amunah is an Atzmus. However, he also has the full chayas of his Aveda because he feels and he understands and he appreciates the greatness of the Eibishter.